whispers in the willows, the island of the dolls, tucked away in the sinuous waterways of Xochimilco, far from the city clamor of Mexico City, lies a place where the veil between the living and the dead feels unusually thin. Amidst the reeds and the floating gardens called chinampas, where time seems to hesitate, there is an island that bears witness to a story soaked in mystery, solitude, and sorrow. They call it La Isla de las Muñecas, the island of the dolls, and its strange, unsettling beauty captures the imagination of all who dare approach. This is no amusement park, no whimsical playground for children. It is an island where hundreds of decaying dolls hang from trees, walls, fences, and posts. Their faded eyes, cracked faces, and missing limbs whisper tales older than time, tales not easily forgotten once heard. The legend begins. A man, a girl, a doll. The origin of the island begins with one man, Don Julián Santana, a reclusive and deeply spiritual caretaker who fled the hustle of the city in the 1950s to live a quiet, solitary life on a small island in Xochimilco's vast canal system. But solitude did not bring peace. Legend says Don Julián discovered the body of a young girl who had drowned in the canal near his home. He was too late to save her, but soon after, a doll floated to the surface. Believing it belonged to the girl, he hung the doll from a tree, hoping to appease her spirit. It was a simple gesture, born of respect and perhaps a dash of fear. But Don Julián didn't stop there. Over the years, he claimed the island was haunted by the girl's spirit, and to protect himself and calm the restless energy, he began collecting more dolls. He rescued them from trash heaps, traded vegetables for them at nearby markets, and retrieved them from the canal waters. Some were gifted by visitors, others seemed to find their own way there. What began as a memorial transformed into a forest of silent sentinels, each one strung up in tribute, or perhaps in warning. Dolls with missing eyes stared from trees. Porcelain faces wore rain-warped expressions that shifted with the light. Don Julián believed they were alive, animated by spirits, each with its own mood, energy, and voice. The island became his canvas, his shrine, and his prison. Tragically and chillingly, Don Julián's life ended much as the legend began. In 2001, after more than 50 years on the island, he was found dead, drowned in the same canal where the girl had died decades earlier. For many, this eerie symmetry wasn't coincidence, it was fate. A journey into the unknown, how to get there. To reach the island of the dolls is to embark on a journey not just of geography, but of atmosphere. Your trip begins in Xochimilco, a UNESCO World Heritage Site known for its vibrant canal network, a living relic of the Aztec agricultural system. Visitors head to one of the main docks, most commonly Embarcadero de Nativitas, where brightly painted trajinera boats line up like giant, floating gondolas. These flat-bottomed boats are festive, often decorated with arches bearing names like Lupita or Rosita, and are sometimes accompanied by mariachi musicians, street food vendors, and families out for a celebratory ride. But the journey to the island of the dolls quickly takes on a different tone. As your boat drifts away from the festive main canals and into the more remote and narrow waterways, the chatter dies down. You'll glide through a world of overhanging trees, murky waters, and silence broken only by birds and insects. It takes between 1 and 2 hours, depending on the water traffic, to reach the island, and then, just beyond a bend in the reeds, it appears. An island like no other, the experience of being there. Stepping onto La Isla de las Muñecas feels like entering a parallel realm, a graveyard of forgotten toys, an open-air museum of melancholy, or perhaps a temple to memory and madness. The ground is soft and uneven, damp from the surrounding water. Trees loom overhead, heavy with their burden. Dolls of every shape, size, and condition. Some are pristine, their plastic eyes wide with innocence. Others are grotesque, sun-bleached, missing limbs, heads dangling on springs, mold growing in hollow eye sockets. The dolls are everywhere, hanging from tree branches, nailed to fences, perched on rooftops, tangled in vines. Some are dressed in frilly old dresses, others naked, dirt-caked and crumbling. There's no official path. You wander where you dare, brushing aside hanging limbs like curtains in an abandoned house. At the heart of the island stands a small shack, preserved in tribute to Don Julián. Inside, the energy shifts. It's darker, more intimate. A dusty bed remains, along with a cluttered altar, a photo of Don Julián, and his original collection of special dolls, those he believed were most powerfully possessed or spiritually charged. Visitors often leave offerings, coins, candies, candles. Some bring new dolls, hanging them quietly in the trees, as if continuing the work Don Julián started. Most people don't stay more than 30 to 45 minutes. The feeling of being watched, the damp claustrophobia, the sheer emotional weight of the place can be overwhelming. Icons of the island, the most memorable dolls. Though hundreds of dolls hang from the branches, a few have gained almost mythical status among repeat visitors and folklore enthusiasts. La Muñeca de la Silla, the doll in the chair, a large, baby-faced doll that sits solemnly in a rusted child's chair, facing the water. It's said she was Don Julián's favorite, and that she whispers when approached alone. The headless sentinel, a tree covered in decapitated dolls whose heads are nailed to the bark, while their bodies hang limply below. The bride doll. Dressed in a torn, dirty wedding gown, this doll is nailed near the center of the island and believed to protect the shack. Locals say she brings either luck or madness, depending on how you greet her. Each doll seems to hold a story, though most are lost to time, just shells filled with whispered fears. Fame, film, and folklore. Over the years, the island's legend has spread far beyond Mexico. It has been featured on international television, including shows like Ghost Adventures, BuzzFeed Unsolved, and Destination Truth. Paranormal investigators have recorded strange electromagnetic activity, voices, and temperature drops on the island. Though skeptics chalk it up to suggestion and environment, believers point to the island's intense energy as proof of something more. Filmmakers and artists have also flocked to the island, using it as a backdrop for short films, horror features, and photo series. It's become a symbol of Mexico's rich syncretism of indigenous mysticism and Catholic spirituality, a place where life and death, belief and madness meet in the mist. Local lore and beliefs. Ask 5 locals in Xochimilco about the island, and you'll get 5 different stories. Some speak of Don Julián with reverence, calling him a guardian, a man who gave everything to protect others from malevolent spirits. Others believe he went mad, that the dolls were a symptom of a deeper trauma, perhaps guilt, loneliness, or a brush with the supernatural that changed him forever. Older generations tend to treat the island with respect, even fear. Children are warned not to speak ill of the dolls, lest one follow them home. Many locals believe that the spirits on the island are not evil, but restless, trapped between worlds, seeking attention or absolution. Challenges in the shadows. Despite its popularity, La Isla de las Muñecas faces serious challenges. The rising number of tourists, some respectful, others less so, has led to environmental degradation. Trash sometimes floats in the water, and disrespectful visitors have been known to tamper with the dolls or steal items from the shack. In addition, climate change and pollution have affected the Xochimilco ecosystem. The delicate chinampas are under threat, and with them, the future of the island. Conservationists and cultural preservation groups are now working with local boatmen and families to protect both the island and its surrounding habitat. There is also an ongoing debate about commercialization versus authenticity. Some argue the island should remain untouched, a raw relic of one man's devotion. Others believe some maintenance is necessary to preserve its legacy. Either way, the soul of the island remains in the balance. Conclusion: a place of echoes. La Isla de las Muñecas is not just a tourist attraction or a quirky curiosity. It is a living folktale, a reflection of the human need to mourn, to protect, to believe. It is a monument to a solitary man who found purpose in pain, and to a little girl who, real or imagined, haunts the hearts of all who visit.